Now that we have all 5 of our Vectobots designed and colorized, the last thing we need to do is to put them in our trading card template and add their names. If you haven't done so already, locate the Vectobot card template and open it up. We're going to put each one of the design inside of each of the 5 cards. So with both of these templates open, we're going to go back and forth by selecting, copying, by going to Edit and copying, and then paste it into here. Now, if you need to scale everything down and you want to make sure all of the lines and the edges will scale appropriately, in your Properties panel, make sure under Transform that the Scale Corners and Scale Stroke and Effects is turned on. With both of those turned on, you should be able to scale your designs up and down and have them fit nicely inside of this area. Repeat this process for the other 5. If we need to, we can select all 5 of them and copy it. Let's bring them over here and paste it. I've already done him, so I'm going to get this one and put it in this way as well. There is no particular order these need to be in. They just simply need to fit inside of the given area. Here's our little green guy. Get him to fit nicely. Get our little red guy. Fits nicely in here too. And then finally our little orange guy, golden guy. Now with them all placed in here, let's put the names under each one of them. To do this, let's go to File and down to Place. Let's locate in the Vecto Trading Cards folder the names, and we can bring in all 5 of our JPEGs by holding down Shift and selecting all 5. When we hit Place, they're going to follow our cursor until we click and drag and put them underneath each one. Again, there's no particular order these have to be in. You can move them around if necessary, or we can just keep it as is. In order to vectorize each of these images, we need to use the image trace options. With the object selected, or the picture selected, go over at the bottom of your Properties panel and choose Image Trace. We're going to do this by the default standard. Default is going to give it as simply black and white, but now we need to get rid of the white that's inside of it. With it still selected, going back over to the Properties panel, open up the Image Trace panel. If necessary, you can play around with the threshold, making it more or less to clean up the edges until you can see everything nicely. Under Advanced, when we open it up, let's bring it up so I can see the whole thing, you can tell it to ignore the color. Bring up all of the options. There we go. Ignore color. By default, it's going to choose the white that's on here. The last thing we need to do is to expand it. Now that it's expanded, we can choose a different color to be able to colorize this. I'm going to drag it and place it inside of this area. And then from here, I can choose a different fill color. I'm going to simply make it white. Again, you may need to adjust it by using your arrow keys to move it into place. Let's repeat the process for the others. Select it. The image trace option that we want to choose is going to be the default. From here, play around with your threshold or the paths and noise and corners. But once you get something that you like, we'll move this over just a bit. There we go. Tell it to ignore the color, and white will be the default, and then expand it. Finally, give it a fill color. If you don't want to use the default of white, you can also choose any other color from your color picker as well. I'm going to choose maybe there we go. Choose the other one, image trace, default. Tell it to ignore the color of white and expand it, and then finally pick a color that fits nicely for it. Maybe for this one, I'll choose a darker green. Image trace, default. Especially for this one, you can see how it's losing some details. So we're going to play around with some of the threshold or settings until we get all the details that we like. Ignore color and expand. Remember to hold the Shift key when you scale these down so that they fit nicely without distorting it, and then change the color of it. And then finally the last one, Image Trace Default. Ignore the color and expand. Scale it down and place it. And then finally change the color of it. With this done, we can close out our image trace and view all of our results. The last little things that you can do is do some minor adjustments and tweaking as you see necessary. And if you want to, you can play around with the background color. You don't have to do this, but if you don't want to keep it the default white, you can select it and change it to a different color that you think would fit better for your design. Once you are finished with all 5 of them, simply save the Illustrator file by going up to File, and let's do a Save As. Make sure to put your name on it. The format is going to be Adobe Illustrator, and click Save, and say OK to the options. This Illustrator file is what you're going to turn into the class page.